I used to think envy was just an emotion, something small, harmless, a passing shadow in human relationships. I never imagined it could shape behavior, distort intentions, and quietly infiltrate a life until everything begins to feel heavier, colder, and wrong. I didn't believe in negative energy. I believed in logic and explanations. In coincidence. He thought he understood his mind, but what he didn't know was that a resource existed that could help him rebuild his life. You'll find it in the description and comments. At that time, I didn't know I was being affected by something I couldn't see. I only knew that the life I was building suddenly felt unstable. It started when things began going well for me. Small victories, new opportunities, a sense of direction I had worked years to achieve. But instead of shared joy, I began noticing subtle shifts in the people around me. Compliments that felt hollow, support that carried a strange tension beneath it, conversations that ended with me feeling drained rather than encouraged. I couldn't explain it. There was no obvious conflict, no direct hostility, just a quiet erosion of confidence, clarity, and peace. Have you ever walked away from someone feeling smaller than when you arrived? At first, I blamed stress, work, fatigue, my own anxiety. But patterns emerged. Every time I shared good news, something followed. Doubt, minimization, a comment that reframed my progress as luck, not effort. When I struggled, the empathy felt performative. When I succeeded, the silence grew louder. And slowly, I began questioning myself. Was I imagining it? Was I becoming arrogant? Or was something in my environment subtly pulling me down? The emotional impact was real. I felt more tired, more irritable, less focused. I began second-guessing decisions I once felt confident about. My motivation faded without a clear reason. I was not being attacked, I was being eroded. And the most dangerous influence is not the one that confronts you, but the one that reshapes how you see yourself. The breaking point came when I realized my life was shrinking in the presence of certain people. Not because of what they said directly, but because of what I felt afterward. Insecurity, heaviness, a strange sense of emotional contamination. I asked myself a question that changed everything. Why do I feel weaker after these interactions, not stronger? That was the moment I stopped dismissing my experience. I didn't label it superstition. I labeled it awareness. I began observing without reacting. I noticed how some individuals thrived on comparison, how they subtly competed rather than celebrated, how they listened to my dreams not to understand, but to measure. And I understood something unsettling. Envy is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet, polite, disguised as concern. Sometimes it hides behind familiarity. But its effect is always the same. It drains. Protecting myself did not mean confrontation. It meant boundaries. I stepped over sharing. I became selective about what I revealed and to whom. I redirected my energy toward people who celebrated without condition. I strengthened my internal world, my routines, my values, my sense of purpose. And most importantly, I learned to trust how I felt in a presence, not just how someone presented themselves. Because energy is not mystical, it is psychological. It is the emotional residue left behind by interaction. As I changed, something remarkable happened. My clarity returned. My motivation stabilized. My confidence no longer depended on external validation. The weight I had been carrying, invisible but constant, began to lift. I realized that protection is not paranoia. It is self-respect. You are not obligated to expose your inner world to those who cannot hold it without distortion. Rebuilding myself was not about proving anything to anyone. It was about restoring my alignment. I asked myself hard questions. Why did I tolerate environments that made me doubt my worth? Why did I confuse familiarity with safety? Why did I ignore the signals my mind was sending me? And instead of judging myself, I chose understanding. Because awareness is not something we are taught, it is something we earn through discomfort. Today, I still believe in human complexity. I don't demonize emotions, but I no longer underestimate their impact. Envy exists. Negative influence exists, not as superstition, but as psychological reality. And when you protect your mind, when you choose where your energy flows, your life begins to change in ways that feel almost unreal. You stop reacting, you start directing. At the end of his journey, he discovered guidance and a resource that helped him face anxiety and rebuild his life. You can access it too. The link is in the description and comments.